All right, here we go. Coach, thanks for your patience. Sorry about that. Welcome back, everybody, to the Bucket List Podcast. Pardon me, that's my other podcast, the Liverpool Reaction, an American LFC podcast with my co-host, Coach Ralph. Coach, another good weekend for the Reds. Tell me, how you feeling?
Well, probably the same as the majority of Liverpool fans. Probably having to pinch ourselves a little bit because we're 5 points up going into the third break of the fall. So it's a good run. I think I expected Liverpool to be high in the league, but I didn't quite expect them to be where they are now.
Yeah, so pretty interesting game from a standpoint of Villa didn't really have many chances. Chances they did have, Kelleher was there, but a 2-0 victory. Darwin scores, and Salah scores. So Darwin in the 20th, and then Salah on a breakaway in the 84th kind of seals the game for us. Coach, I want to talk about that very first goal. Leon Bailey, is he a lucky boy not to get any sort of reprimand for that challenge on Salah? Good thing Darwin was following the play and was there and tucked it away. But I was kind of wondering, if Darwin wasn't there, would a foul been called?
Well, I suppose it's a bit of a moot point because Darwin did score, but if he hadn't have scored, I think we'd have had some big debates because I believe the referee didn't think it was a foul. Is that correct?
Yeah, he didn't call one. Didn't I don't think he didn't even come back and card Leon Bailey. I'm going to double check that, but I don't think he even carded Leon Bailey.
Right. Yeah. I think I read that he didn't think it was a foul. So anyway, I guess it's immaterial given that Liverpool did go on and score. But as I said, I think that would have been a hot debate otherwise.
When they showed the replay again, I don't understand when sometimes it's a foul, sometimes it's a coming together. I could kind of see it both ways, but the fact that Mo Salah was ahead of him, I think something should have been awarded there, or a card should have been given to Bailey. But doesn't matter. Darwin was there to pick up the scraps. He looked like he knew what he wanted to do. He looked up, saw Martinez, pushed it to the right, maybe pushed it a little bit too far, but then lifted it up into the goal. Really nice goal.
Right. One thing that was interesting was Lee Dixon, who's a pundit that I like, actually said that Darwin lifted the ball, and I don't think he did because he was at full stretch. I mean, I think at that point you're just trying to get something on target.
Yeah.
And probably because he's leaning back, it's going to go up. So I don't think it was a conscious finish. In contrast to the goal, say that Diaz scored midweek, where he definitely clips it over the goalkeeper. But he beat the goalie. It was maybe a little far away, but he's a fast guy. He got to it and he just directed it to goal, and thankfully it went in.
Yes, and I think the fact that Darwin is always in the mix, right? We talked last year about his chaotic nature, which I don't think we see it as much, but his work rate, because he works hard, he put himself in position to get that. And crazy that it came from a corner kick that Aston Villa took, and it looked very Klopp-like to me.
Right. Well, I think there are stats that back up the fact that the teams can be vulnerable from corner kicks when they're attacking. I think there are stats generally that back that up. But the unusual thing with this game was that Liverpool did it 3 times, and Aston Villa, surprisingly for a Unai Emery team, didn't really have anybody at the back to contest.
Yeah.
Because the subsequent chance when Darwin Núñez was through was an easier chance, I would think.
Yeah. We got the full Darwin experience, right? A goal, a couple missed chances. but it was really nice that we got that first goal. So, because Villa was kind of packing it in a little bit, and the fact that we got a goal in the 20th minute and we were being dangerous throughout the game kind of forced Villa to kind of come out of their shell a little bit. And the second goal, 84th minute, Salah gets the ball. It hits Diego Carlos in the head. Then it hits Salah in the head, and he's through. And he waits and waits and waits and waits and puts the game away.
One thing that was interesting about that was obviously he had options in the middle. And I think he faked everybody out because it looked like he was going to square it. He faked me out because I thought he was going to cross it, and then he kind of clips it in at the near post. So you have to give him credit for that. He certainly knew what he was doing, and Salah's certainly doing the business this year, isn't he?
He's unbelievable. I mean, he's not getting as many chances like as the years before, but the ones he's getting, I mean, they are going in the back of the net, and his passing, I think, is very underrated.
Yeah, I mean, he's an intriguing mix to me because sometimes he makes the most fundamental skill errors, but then he also possesses such creativity and range of passing, and he's just he's a force of nature, basically, I would say.
Yeah, Coach, there's several things to talk about in this game. I thought Konate again was exceptional. Him and Van Dijk really, really marshaled Ollie Watkins very well. He didn't get much of a sniff at all. He wasn't really in the game very much. Again, this two center back pairing is looking like Saliba and Gabriel of last year. They are solid. They are quick. They are big. They are strong. They can pass out of the back. What a nice just mixture of two really big guys that can really do it all.
Exactly, and as you say, they look very solid, and there's not much that seems to ruffle them so far this season. So, yeah, let's hope they keep it up because I think that when we play the cities of this world, the Real Madrids, games which are on the horizon, I think that we're going to need them solid at the back.
For sure. Coach, Robertson replaced Tsimikas for this game, and my God, he looked different this game versus in the past. He looked on it a little bit.
Yeah. For me, my gut feeling with Andy Robertson is that the manager is managing his minutes. I mean, obviously he's in his 30s now, but he had a couple of serious injuries last year, and he came into pre-season with an injury. My sense is that whenever it's a key game, he is going to play Robertson, but otherwise he will manage his minutes, and so Kostas Tsimikas will certainly get a few runouts.
Darwin replaced Diaz, and Diaz moved to the left, and Gakpo got a break. Coach, when somebody's on such rich form as Gakpo, it takes a very interesting decision to keep him out, and then you got Luis Diaz, who had a hat trick midweek. So, how do you manage that?
Well, obviously you have to manage players and players' egos because everybody wants to play all the time, but the team is going well. So I think that that's a big plus. I think sometimes when teams are struggling, the players think that they can make the difference all the time. So I think that that's one thing that Arne Slot has going in his favor. and then it comes down to his relationships with the players, how he communicates, how he explains why he's doing something. I think you've got to do that with the modern player, perhaps more so than you did in former times.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to get them on board, and then you have the added extra dimension of substitution. So as we've discussed before, it's a 16-man game now.
Right.
So bring them on with half an hour to go. There's a lot of pluses to doing it that way, and that's from a team perspective, and it's from a player perspective because these guys, like, they're all kind of fast. They know where the goal is.
Mm-hmm.
They're playing against defenders who might be tiring.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a great possibility of having success from the bench.
Yeah. Coach, Trent gets hurt relatively early in the game, and Connor Bradley comes in. It doesn't seem to be too serious. I haven't heard anything as far as his injury being like long term. But the fact that we have Connor Bradley and he can back him up and deputize him and really play very well, it's a blessing. But Coach, is this run a game? Say Trent's out for, let's say, 3-4 games.
Mm-hmm.
Is this potentially going to be the replacement for Trent, and kind of us as fans and maybe as the club seeing that, hey, maybe we don't need him because we have Connor Bradley, and now the style of play, Trent isn't such a goal threat anymore. I mean, obviously he's an excellent distributor of the ball, but could this be kind of the beginning of the end as far as us thinking that we need him, we want him, he needs to stay, we can't lose him, that kind of talk?
So are you talking about Bradley now?
I'm talking about Trent being, having his head turned, and us kind of, if he's injured for maybe 3-4 games, is us as fans and as a club saying, okay, he can go.
Yeah, I believe it's a hamstring issue, but he kind of was conservative and came off when he felt a little twinge. It isn't serious. I don't believe he'll play for England now. Whether or not he's fit for after the international break, that is unknown as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have to wait and see on that score. But I think the gut feeling from myself and a lot of people is that he's going to go at the end of the season. So will Bradley be his replacement? Could be. I mean, like, he plays the same position, but he's a different style of player. He's an attacking player, but he attacks in a different way than Trent. And as you say, I mean, Trent's not been as involved offensively as he has under Jurgen Klopp, because I don't think he's got many assists yet, has he?
No, I was going to mention it last week. It seems like it's like a hockey assist, the one before the assist, that he's getting a lot of those. So he is instrumental in the buildup. But yeah, I don't think he has many. And I'll check while we continue talking. But Coach, also, is Connor Bradley maybe better suited for slot system?
I'll be honest with you. I can't answer that because I don't know enough of Bradley as a player, and also what slot system is ultimately. Because to me, looking at the way that Liverpool play game to game, is he's making a conscious effort not to go 100 miles an hour all the time.
Yeah.
I thought in the second half against Villa that we went through a period where basically Liverpool were just fiddling with the ball and essentially saying to Aston Villa, like, come and get it or come and do something, because you're losing. Mm-hmm. It's a bit risky, actually, because Liverpool's only up by a goal. And of course, somebody makes a mistake, and things can change in a heartbeat. But I'm not totally sure what the Arne Slot system is yet. We see little glimpses of possession.
Mm-hmm.
We see glimpses of maybe the pace being upped and then pressing. But the overall thing that I feel is that he's just feeling his way in. He knows he's got a good squad, and I think he has a sense of how to use the players that he has. Liverpool haven't had a lot of injuries. Basically, okay, there's Harvey Elliott, but he went down early in the season, so we don't really know how he would figure in the rotation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then you've got Alisson, so it's a like for like swap there, obviously, because of the goalkeeping situation. So, he hasn't used a lot of players, say like Jurgen Klopp has. And I just feel that he's feeling his way. I think he's made a conscious decision to pace the team. I think that that's the only thing that I can say, because he knows that they have a lot of games, not just in the Premier League. They've got Champions League. It's a bigger schedule this year. And of course, they're still in the League Cup. So League Cup's the only place where he's really rotated to a significant degree.
Yeah. So, Coach, it's interesting because we talked about this run on the last international break, and we're about to go into the next one. And so the international break was the weekend of the 12th. So Liverpool beats Chelsea that coming back from international break 2-1. They beat Leipzig 1-0. They tie with Arsenal. They beat Brighton twice. They beat Leverkusen 4-0, and then they beat Villa 2-0. I mean, unbelievable run here. And now we have obviously Southampton after the international break, Real Madrid, City, Newcastle, Everton. I mean, it's still a tough run, but the chunk of it's already behind us, and 5 points clear. Manchester City does not look like themselves right now. Brighton beat them 2-1. What a comeback by that. Did you get a chance to get a quick peek at that one as well?
Yeah, I did watch that game, and I think you got to credit Brighton, because the first half it was. I thought Manchester City were well on top, although there were kind of a few little glimpses of Brighton towards the half-time interval. But then in the second half, it kind of really flipped, and it was kind of like when Brighton played Liverpool. First half they were on top, and then the second half maybe they faded.
Yeah.
And against Manchester City, it was the other way around. Like they weren't really in the game, and then second half they kind of came of age, and they played well.
Then on Sunday after was that the 9:30 game? Yeah, my time. So the 11:30 game, East Coast time. Chelsea and Arsenal tie. So two fantastic results for Liverpool on top of their victory. What, Coach? 5 points clear. You mentioned by Christmas is when you're going to start gauging how things are, and we know how dangerous Manchester City can be when they get on a hot streak, especially towards the end of the season. They can win 14, 15 games in a row and just make up any ground that is lost. But with the Manchester City game looming, I mean, that could be an 8-point gap potentially, assuming we beat Southampton. But that's when you look ahead a little bit, you're looking at this, and wow, that game is critical.
Yeah. Look, Liverpool is in a good situation. I think there's no question about it. there's still a very long way to go. And I think a lot of the narrative about this, and it seems to be more about Arsenal because obviously they're trailing, is that this is all part of the Manchester City era where if you feel that you drop a couple of points, it's like the end of the world. So I think of a lot of it's a little over the top, and I'm just getting a sense that this season could be different from recent years in as much as maybe it is going to be more competitive. I saw one comment on the internet with one of the podcasts that I follow, and it was kind of this is the weakest leadership in the Premier League since the year that Leicester won it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that you could say that, but I think that you can kind of twist that around and say, well, maybe that's because it's more open and it's more competitive.
Yeah.
I mean, because obviously City have made City have dropped a lot of points for them, and they've got results in other games where they were really, by their standards, they were fortunate.
Yeah.
So we ultimately don't know whether it's going to be a season like the Leicester year, where as we get into it deeper and deeper, teams start to beat each other, and then who comes out on top? I mean, maybe Nottingham Forest, who knows? So we have to wait and see on that. I mean, everyone's making a fuss with Manchester City about Rodri out, and he's a big loss, but I think they have more than enough coverage. What I think is maybe more significant is it's not just Rodri, but it's Rodri and Diaz. I think you take those two out and you take the heart out of the team.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Diaz isn't a long-term issue. I think he's going to be back after the break. So I think that once Diaz comes back, I think they have more than enough Manchester City on their squad to compensate for the absence of Rodri, and plus you will have De Bruyne getting more and more time. So, I mean, like, they're clearly still going to be around, and I mean, as with all the sheep, that's who I forecast would win the league this year, and I still don't feel at a point that I would go against Manchester City winning the league this year still.
It's a good thing from their standpoint that De Bruyne is back, because even though he's a little bit older, his passing is, I don't know, best in the world in my opinion. I mean, he can really deliver a great ball across or through. He's an excellent player. Foden was Player of the Year last year and has had just, I don't know what's going on with him, but you remember that these guys and this kind of talent can literally put this team back, kind of chugging along like the train that they are sometimes.
Yeah. One thing that's been pointed out by several pundits, and I think there's something to consider here, is they've been heavily reliant on Haaland up front this year to score.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody else is really chipping in to any great degree, and that's different from previous years.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, if Haaland was to get injured, it would be a big loss for them. They've shown in the past they can play a different system without an out-and-out striker. But as of right now, everybody outside of Erling Haaland isn't really contributing too much in terms of goals.
And he's struggling as well. 2 goals, I think, in 6 games now is not an output that we expect from Haaland, just knowing what he's capable of and knowing what he did the first couple of years.
Right. Well, it's not just the first couple of years, but he started the season so well, and I think it's foreseeable that there'll be a reaction for that, in as much as everyone that plays Manchester City will have a plan for matching up with him. And I'm sure one thing that the manager will be talking to him about is not just his ability to finish and being in the right place, but his ability to be a decoy, because he will be watched closely, and so the Fodens of this world, as of this time, haven't really stepped up to deliver their share of the goals, and I think from a Manchester City point of view, that's something that has to change.
Mm-hmm. Coach, talking about the you mentioned corner kicks and that teams taking the corner kicks are susceptible statistically to a counterattack. I was thinking a lot about this over the weekend and thinking to myself, is it because of Klopp and we still have players that played under Klopp that DNA is still in them, so they know to break, kind of like Klopp encouraged them? And if those players, over time are replaced, will we still have that kind of cutting edge to counter the way that we did under Klopp and that we have this year? So, for example, Salah leaves, Diaz leaves, Gakpo leaves, Darwin leaves, and it's just like a recycling of the team. And it doesn't. I'm not saying next year or the year after. I'm saying over time. Will we lose that kind of DNA for countering, or is this something that we can expect Slot to kind of continue to encourage because he's seen the success and he wants to keep that as part of the DNA of the team?
Well, I'm sure he'll want to keep it, but it always comes down to your personnel at the end of the day. So you're talking about a lot of players who have pace, a lot of players that know where the goal is, and they will be direct in terms of going to goal. And then you have players that can put them through, whether it's a Trent or a McAllister or whoever. So I think from a tactical point of view, I think the manager will want to keep that. As to how well they execute it is going to come down to personnel. And I would expect Liverpool, as they start to recruit for the future, will be looking at players, that have some of the similar type qualities to what we have now. I mean, obviously Chiesa's not played too much because of injury, but he's got some pace, and he knows where the goal is. So I could see him fitting into a system like this for sure.
Yeah. So the statistics for the game, as far as possession, 62% possession. Liverpool, 5 shots on goal, 14 shots overall. For Villa, 2 shots on goal and 12 shot attempts. I mean, those 2 headers off the corner kicks back to back that Kelleher stopped. I'm not sure he knew too much about the second one, but pretty critical there.
Chances. Those are the biggest chances, and really wasn't a great game. And I think that if we'd had a game which was just Aston Villa corners, we'd have had a more interesting game, because that's when they created their best chances, and they were so vulnerable at the back that Liverpool were just escaping and going down the other end, and that was the only time perhaps that the game was open, maybe apart from the closing stages, obviously, when Villa had to try and get something from the proceedings.
Yeah. Coach, Alisson due back, I think, after the international break. Kelleher has done an amazing job. We are extremely confident with him. I think it's very clear. He's spoken about getting more minutes, and the fact that the past couple of years Alisson's been hurt has been almost a blessing in disguise, because he's gotten the minutes, so he's been happy. But the fact that this is probably the last year with him, he's done a fantastic job, Coach. What else can we say about, this guy being ready to play and making big saves when we need him?
Yeah, I mean, I can remember seeing him play. I think he made his debut for Liverpool, and it was against Aston Villa. I think it was Aston Villa, or he played 2 games in close succession, Aston Villa and Arsenal in the League Cup. And this was the season when Liverpool went to the World Club Championship. And and then they turned out an academy team against Aston Villa in the League Cup. So yeah, it must have been Arsenal. And in both games, he gave up 5 goals. And I can remember thinking at the time, okay, he's a young goalkeeper, but he didn't really exert himself. And I was kind of surprised because at the time Liverpool had a Polish goalkeeper who I'm scrambling for his name.
Mm-hmm.
He's now playing in the Bundesliga, and he's a Polish international. And I'd heard down the grapevine that they thought that this was the guy that that could possibly push on, and then maybe one day get into the team. And so he was out on loan at the time. So obviously that's why they had to go to Kelleher. And I just thought, okay, well, he may be a young player and everything, but he didn't look very assertive to me. And what we've seen, though, this season and last season is just a totally different person. He's kind of grown. He's matured in terms of his personality. He's assertive. He's calm. And he seems to have that ability to make a big save. And I mean, any goalkeeper that can do that, that'll win you a certain amount of games for sure.
Yeah. Coach, Southampton next. Without getting into too many details, they've been struggling. What do you expect for as far as a result in that game? I mean, it should be all games are tough, and if we play them on paper, we know what would happen. But you got to get on the field. You got to kick the ball. Is this maybe a potential game where they bust it open and we have a big score line, or can we anticipate another kind of Arne Slot type of 2-0, 2-1 kind of game?
Yeah, I think it's going to be the 2-0 kind of game. I think on paper it's a potential banana skin if ever there was one, because everybody's going to expect Liverpool to go and win.
Right.
Now did Southampton? How did they do at the weekend? Did they win?
The biggest result was Ipswich Town. I'm going to take a quick look here. Southampton. Where are you? No, they lost 2-0 to Wolves.
That's right. Yeah. I saw some of that game. So they're still in a situation. I think they've had one win, haven't they? They've had one win. So
yeah, they're on 4 points right now. They're bottom of the league.
Right. So I don't think they'll have many international call-ups from their squad, obviously in contrast to Liverpool, and then the Reds have to go down to the South Coast. So I think there'll be some rotation, with the logical ones being the South Americans.
Right.
So
and Darwin's back and playing too, so he's going to be added to that.
Who's that, sorry?
Darwin's off his suspension, so he's playing now for.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So I would be surprised if any of the 3 start. They're more likely to come off the bench. So the question is, how will they line up? So
right.
If Alisson's back, I assume he'll go straight into net.
Mm-hmm.
Trent may not play, so you've got Bradley, you've got Van Dijk, Konsa,
Konate, yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's Konsa, yeah. Got Aston Villa on the mind today. Yeah, I've got Konate. He may well choose to play Tsimikas, because I know Robertson has 2 big games for Scotland. They have to try and win.
Yeah.
So Tsimikas in the midfield, Jones, Gravenberg, and who's the other? Szoboszlai.
Yeah.
So like that might be a starting 3, and then up front you've got Salah,
Gakpo.
Yeah, and that's interesting then, because you've got the 2 South Americans. Who am I missing? Because Jota's not going to be back, I believe.
Chiesa's the only other one. We got so the 6 forwards are Chiesa, Salah, Gakpo, Diaz, Darwin, and Jota.
Well, maybe he'll split time then between two of the South Americans then.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, he doesn't tend to rotate a lot. I think that what'll be interesting, obviously, that once we go beyond Southampton, they've got Real Madrid, Manchester City. So he may have one eye on those games. I think he'll probably want to play the same team in each game.
Yeah. And maybe Jota's bruised ribs are good to go, after.
Right. So, so he could well start coming back into it. Maybe Trent starts coming back. And of course, we're assuming that they don't pick up injuries during the international break.
Right. Yeah.
Which, of course, like they're all playing for their countries. So it's not unforeseeable that he may have to look to a Gomez or an Endo, players not played a lot so far, but I think he has enough of a sense of them as to how they can fit in to help the team get a result.
Yeah. Coach, so again, top of the league, 5 points clear from City. We have an exciting 4 or 5 game run here, and Christmas is around the corner. We will absolutely kind of do a reevaluation of everything at that point in time. But so far, so good. Slot's doing the business. Salah's doing the business. Liverpool are keeping clean sheets. They're tight defense. We have a lot to smile about as Liverpool fans, and hopefully we can kind of keep it going with the Madrid and City game back to back is just exciting because we really get to test ourselves against very, very good opponents.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's going to look at those 2 games and say, okay, this will be a measure of where Liverpool is truly at. But what's interesting is that once they get past those 2 games, they have to go to Newcastle, and then they have to follow that up with a trip across Stanley Park to Everton.
Mm-hmm.
So
cupcakes, yeah.
I mean, Everton. I watched I could only take the first half of the Everton West Ham game. It wasn't a good watch, unfortunately. But look, Everton will be tough. Like they won last year at Goodison, and it's the last game at Goodison before they move to the new stadium.
That's right.
I mean, Sean Dyche knows how to set up a team to frustrate, and that, I feel, is Liverpool's weakness.
Well, we are excited as Liverpool fans. We love talking about this stuff. It's unbelievable the start that Slot has started his career here at Liverpool, record-breaking actually. And next week is international break, so we will be hosting a guest, and we'll be talking about the games coming up in more detail. So thank you, everybody, for listening. I'm pretty sure I did the live stream correctly, so this should be up on YouTube immediately. And if you've been watching with us, thank you so much. We'll everybody take care, and we will talk to you next time. Have a good one, Coach.
Okay, bye now, Salim.